Currently, when you talk to anybody in the NFL, the Detroit Lions are considered one of the best teams. But now that they're getting set to play against the Tennessee Titans, some are starting to talk about this being a trap game for them. We're going to talk about it here, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. So, my friends, here's what we can talk about with this episode. The Detroit Lions. We are, as I would say, quite literally the toast of the NFL. Like, you cannot tune in almost damn near anywhere without the Detroit Lions being talked about on some sort of, level. Whether it's, oh, hey, we're one of the top 5 power teams. We're one of the top teams to go to the Super Bowl. Or, hey, we talk about Jared Goff and his MVP-like performances. Or, hey, you know what? We're talking about how the Detroit Lions need to make a trade for, an edge rusher. On some sort of level, somewhere, the Detroit Lions are being talked about. And more often than not now, it's a positive talk, not a negative one. And when you think about that, that has led into all of these other conversations that are being had about the Detroit Lions, such as now how this whole thought process about the Detroit Lions hangover is still very much alive and well, because every single team that we have played, even the one that we lost to, you think about it, as soon as they play the next game, they literally lose. Like, it's a hangover effect that has quite literally been been in effect since the very first game of the season against the Rams. And then now you think about that, about the Vikings, who we just beat last week. They just lost last night against the freaking Rams. And it's like, okay, here, not only was that a big win for us as far as the division perspective, but it was also a big win as far as, okay, we've now got a situation here where we are the clear front runners in the NFC North. So, because, number one, we have the best division record in the NFC North, but also we have the best record. Because nobody else has got, 1 loss and 5 wins. So we're already in a pretty damn good spot. And so it's like, okay, everything's going great for the Lions. However, though, despite all of the pomp, all of the celebrity, all of the stuff that, makes the Detroit Lions, one of the most popular teams to talk about right now, there's the upcoming game against the woeful Titans. And this is a game that I've heard from some fans, I've heard from other analysts, that they look at this game as a potential trap game for the Lions. Now, they're asking the question, is this a trap game? Could this be a trap game? It's a legitimate question. We can't just ignore it and say, no, it's not a trap game. No chance in hell. It's a legitimate question, which means that it deserves a proper and reasonable response, and it deserves consideration. So, my answer to the question on whether or not this could be a trap game is absolutely yes, it could be a trap game. Now, I know some people are going to be like, whoa, David, What are you saying, man? And I'm like, understand exactly how I said that last quote there. I said it can be a trap game. I did not say it will be a trap game. There's 2 different distinctions there. Not to get into English and grammar, but that's why I said it the way I did. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. In fact, I'm not even saying it's likely to happen. But only that it can happen, that there is a possibility. Now, the reason it can happen is because this game, quite literally, that's coming up in the next couple of days, it has literally got all of the classic earmarks of a trap game. Take a look at the 2 teams that are playing. You got the Detroit Lions, literally on the highest part of where they're at in the season, They're one of the most powerful teams in the NFL as far as talent, as far as scoring capabilities, defenses playing well, and they have been able to do just about damn near wherever they want to do. And to add a further cherry on top to that, you go back and you take a look at the Lions' history over the last couple of years. The Lions have been by far one of the hardest teams to play when we're at home. Just considering the fact that the Lions have played at another level in comparison to most other teams when we're at home, then you have to factor in the freaking raucous home crowd that makes it almost deafening in there. So yeah, that right there already gives a huge, presentation, a huge idea that the Lions have got everything going for them. But what makes it even worse is then you take a look at the Tennessee Titans on the other side of the fence. For the most part, their team is absolutely dismal. It's horrible, woeful, just atrocious. And I'm not trying to say that as, what it is, but you take a look at the team, and we're going to talk about it here in a few minutes, but that team almost has absolutely nothing going for it. The best thing they have about that team is their defense. But suffice it to say, the defense is not going to be able to win games for them because of how bad their offense is. And then you have to take a look at the fact that the Titans, over the last, I would say, since offseason of last year, they have been in a just disastrous tailspin. Go back to the end of last year. They fired their head coach, Mike Vrabel, a decision that, quite frankly, shocked damn near everybody in the NFL. And number two, I think, was a vast mistake. Then on top of that, they let their probable best player walk in free agency, of course that being Derrick Henry. And then, as we just saw earlier this week, they traded away again yet another good player in freaking DeAndre Hopkins. So it's like, okay, you got rid of a pretty damn good head coach in Mike Vrabel, at least in my opinion. You let your best offensive weapon take a walk in free agency last year. And, oh, by the way, now he's out in Baltimore and he is tearing it up. And then you just traded away your last major offensive asset when your quarterbacks right now couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. So, yeah, the fact of the matter is when you take a look at it in all those perspectives, terrible Titans team that's absolutely falling apart, going into one of the hardest, most violent venues in terms of, not being hospitable to an opposing team. Absolutely loud, raucous. It's just ridiculous. It is not a welcoming environment for other teams. And you've got one of the best teams in football playing in there. Yeah, that sounds like the Lions, and every surface, every conversation, every feasible way should destroy, should kill the Titans. So yeah, it's a trap game. Because if you take a look at it from damn near virtually any perspective, most people are going to be like, yeah, there's no way the Lions should lose this game. Hell, if you take a look at the freaking NFL preview video, every single analyst in that panel has the Lions winning. And I'd be willing to bet that freaking, I would say probably almost 75 to 80% of bettors are saying the exact same thing. Like, it's almost a universal choice that the Lions are going to beat the Titans. So yeah, everything's pointing to, yeah, this could be a trap game. But here's the thing, folks. I believe that if you're going to have a conversation about something being a trap game, you have to back it up with more than just conjecture, more than just opinion, more than just your personal belief. You have to back it up with facts. You have to back it up with something that is substantial, something that can be used as proof. And for that, I use statistics. Because let's think about this, folks. Let's compare the Lions offense to the Titans defense and the Lions defense to the Titans offense. Let's just take that comparison really quickly here. And you're going to see a very clear, how should I say, path to victory that the Lions have to take. Let's first start with the Lions offense. I'm going to put the numbers on the screen, the rankings, the whole bit. You guys already know how it works. You take a look at the Lions offense. damn near every single category that I have up on the board, top 10. There's only 2 categories, pardon me, not 2. There are 3 categories that are not in the top 10. But 2 of those are really damn close, and one of them still within the top 16. You're talking about an offense that, again, much like it has the last 2 years under Ben Johnson and Jared Goff, has maintained a level of sheer excellence. Top 10, top 5 offense. No question about it. Moving on. Now we move to the Titans defense. I said it earlier a few minutes ago. The Titans defense by far is their best unit. And the numbers back it up. You take a look at the Titans defense. They have the least yards given up on their defense out of anybody in the NFL. They're tied second for the least yards per play. They're second for the least amount of passing yards. They're sixth for the least amount of rushing yards. This is a damn good defense as far as being able to stop production. But the problem for their defense is where you start coming into the, how do they do in stopping teams from scoring? Well, they're just outside of the 20th spot in terms of scoring percentage. So teams are actually scoring against them on at least a decent level. And then once they get into the red zone, even though they're a top 10 team as far as red zone percentage, teams have a 50-50 shot on scoring on them. So yeah, the defense is overall looking really good. The statistics back it up. But for a defense that is this good, there should be better, overall qualitative stats such as scoring drive percentage, fourth down percentage, red zone percentage. That's where everything kind of falls off a little bit. So yeah, the defense is pretty good at keeping you away from the red zone in essence. But once you get towards the red zone, that's where things kind of fall apart for them. So okay, that's the Titans defense and the Lions offense. Okay, now let's do the reverse. The Lions defense and the Titans offense. We take a look at the Lions defense. The Lions defense is, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. This is the best defense that the Lions have had in years. And when you take a look at the numbers, it's no small surprise why. Lions have a top 10 defense not only in terms of points, but also in yards given up. They have a top 10 defense in terms of passer rating given up. Top 5 defense in terms of rushing yards. Top 5 defense in both third down conversion rate and fourth down conversion rate. And a top 10 defense in terms of red zone percentage. The Lions, as far as a qualitative defensive team, they do rather well. Now, they've given up a lot of passing yards, but still not as much or still as bad as they have in the past. And the percentage of completions on them is also high. But their passer rating is one of the best in the NFL. Why? Because we have 2 ball hawks in the backfield, name of Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. They both have 4 interceptions apiece. So, yeah, you can throw on us all day for dink and dunks and get yards aplenty. But you try throwing it over the middle or you try throwing it deep, chances are you're going to get an interception. So, okay, that's our defense. Now, let's take a look at the Titans offense. Oh, good Lord. I don't think I have ever seen a worse offense as far as an overall standard than this. Take a look at how bad this offense is. They are 32nd in the NFL in yards generated. They are 31st in yards per play. They are 32nd in the NFL with freaking passing yards. Here's what makes this really bad. Their overall passing yards at 875 is almost half of what Jared Goff by himself has thrown. And if that weren't bad enough, the 875, the Tennessee Titans are the only team left in the NFL that has not yet cracked 1,000 yards passing. Every other team has got 1,000 plus yards passing, except the Tennessee Titans. You take a look at the passer rating. That, again, tells another story. They have the worst passer rating from quarterbacks in the entirety of the NFL. So, again, they can't pass the ball worth a damn. Their passing game is quite literally dead in the water. They can't do anything with it. And, that's right, you're now going up against a defense that I just said is ranked 6th in passer rating. We have 2 ball hawks in the defensive backfield, and you're at our home place, and you just traded away your best offensive receiving weapon. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting setup, just saying. But then you also take, again, if you were paying attention, you look at the rushing yards and you take a look at the rushing components. The rushing components are not much better. They are a little better, but not much better. And then again, you get to their freaking, their third down, fourth down scoring drive and red zone percentage. The only thing about them that I can say that is decent about their offense is that when they do decide to get into the red zone, if they ever get there, they actually do manage to find ways to score. But when you're only scoring on 28% of your drives, it doesn't matter how damn good you are in the red zone. You're still not going to win a whole lot. So, okay, we've taken a look at how both units opposite of each other do. We've seen how the Lions offense and defense goes up against the Titans offense and defense. When we take a look at that and we step back and now we take a look at the whole parameter, the whole picture here, like I said, by far the best thing that the Titans have is their outstanding defense. Now, I'm going to say this. The argument could be made that if the Titans offense was average at best, just average, doesn't have to be good, just average, they could actually be a pretty competitive team. But as we can clearly see, they're what, 1-5? The only team that the freaking Titans have beaten was the Dolphins. Other than that, they have lost. And some games they have lost rather miserably. I mean, this is an offense that quite literally, it couldn't even push up daisies, let alone contend with our defense. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, here. This game literally comes down to the red hot offense of the Detroit Lions versus the stone cold defense of the Titans. Which one's going to be better? Which one's going to get the edge? Which one is going to be the one that actually finds a way to win? That's what this is going to come down to. Gee, where have I heard this before? Oh, yeah, that's right. We heard this last week with the Vikings defense and the Lions offense. Everybody was talking about Brian Flores' defense and about how, it's, just shutting down opponents. And we went into Minnesota. If I recall correctly, Jared Goff completed, 75-80% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, almost 300 passing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had over 115 rushing yards against that defense. And again, we were at their place, not at home. So, when you consider that the matchup that I just talked about, our offense versus their defense, and pardon me, my paper just decided to fall right over as if there was nothing there. So, just give me a second. I've got to find a way to keep it up here. Just give it a little fold. So, when you consider the matchup of the Lions offense versus the defense of the Titans, I absolutely believe, and I am confident 100% in our offense's ability to get the job done. Here's why. Number one, I don't care what anybody else wants to say. The Lions offense right now is the best in the NFL. This is an offense that has been able to make stuff work, not only in the past when they haven't had anything to work with, but also has shown that, listen, we can lose a player, we can lose a couple of players, but we can adapt, improvise, and overcome and still find ways to win and still produce at a very high-end level. Not just, we're just barely getting by. No. We're still producing at our standard. Number two, like I've been saying, historically, our offense thrives when we're at home. We absolutely are just a menace when we're at home versus opposing teams. Now, obviously, this year we haven't seen it as much because the only game where we've played at home where we really actually did really good was the game against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football when we got the black jerseys. The other 2 home games we've had, offense didn't really look all that good. But again, I said this before, that was because we didn't have a true wide receiver number 3, a.k.a. Tim Patrick. So now, offense is back right as rain. And then, here's the last reason why I think the Lions offense is going to do well. This Titans defense has been great, has been, given all these accolades as being really, really good. Okay, that's fine, that's fair. But much like I've done for a couple of opponents now, Seahawks, the Vikings, the Cowboys. Now I'm going to do it for the Titans. Who have the Titans played thus far as their defense versus opposing offenses? Bears, Jets, Packers, Dolphins, Colts, Bills. Let's see here. The Bears offense week 1 was absolute trash. Freaking Caleb Williams could not figure out his freaking you-know-what from his head. That was an absolutely terrible offense. The only reason that the Bears won is because Will Levis quite literally gave the game away. Okay, let's move on to the Jets. By far the most dysfunctional team in the NFL right now. This is a team that has so much freaking talent on it, yet they still can't win. And that's because they've got Aaron Rodgers being the cancerous guy that he's been for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, who can't get out of his own damn way. Then we move to the Packers. What happened when the freaking, Titans played the Packers? Oh, that's right. Jordan Love was not playing. It was actually Malik Willis at quarterback. And Malik Willis actually had himself a really damn good day. The fact that I'm even saying that is absurd. This is the same Malik Willis that, wait a minute, with the same Tennessee Titans, looked like absolute booty cheeks. He could not even beat out Will Levis. And Will Levis is by far probably one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. But yet he goes to the Packers and he plays against this vaunted defense, and all of a sudden he's looking like he's a great quarterback. Which is more likely, that Malik Willis just went up against a really bad defense, or that Malik Willis just had one really damn great day? Then we take a look at the Dolphins. The only game the Titans have won. Oh, that's right. You beat up on a Dolphins team that had nothing to work with. Tua Tagovailoa was out. And that team, ever since Tua has left, has not been able to do anything right. And especially nothing right on offense, which, when you've got Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle as your backups, go figure. Then we get to the Colts. Okay, the Colts offense at that time was being led by Joe Flacco, a damn near 40-year-old guy who up until last year was an afterthought because of all the stuff he did with the Browns. But yet, once again, Joe Flacco comes in relief of freaking Anthony Richardson and still finds a way to beat that team. And the Colts are not exactly one of the best teams in the NFL this year, but they still found a way to beat them. And then we get to their last game against the Bills. Now here's why I am putting such an emphasis on this game. Because, oh, that's right, this is by far the only game where that freaking Titans defense, has gone against a top offense. Because wait a minute here, the Bills offense had Josh Allen. They had just acquired Amari Cooper. Josh Allen hasn't thrown an interception this year, so that right there tells me, okay, this is a really good offense, supposedly going against a really good defense. What happened in that game? Oh, that's right. Josh Allen torched the freaking Titans. He had over 300 passing yards. Had, I think it was 2 or 3 passing touchdowns. And, oh, that's right. What was the final score? It was 34-10. So, you want to tell me that this is a top 5 defense, but yet most of the teams they've played, their offenses are absolutely crap, and yet they've still lost. The reason why that's an important thing to bring up is, how did the 2015 Denver Broncos win most of their games? It sure as hell wasn't on Peyton Manning's arm, and it sure as hell wasn't from their offense. It was the defense. So again, I pose this question. Which is more likely? That the Titans' defense is actually really good, or the fact of the matter is that 5 out of the 6 opponents they've played, their offenses have been absolutely horrendous. So, to put this all in a nutshell here, going back to the Bills game and Josh Allen, if Josh Allen was able to torch them for over 300 plus yards and have a damn fine afternoon, what in the hell do you think Jared Goff's going to do on his home turf? Just saying it for what it is. And again, I'm not trying to sound like some smug jerk here, but it's like, dude, the facts don't lie. The way I look at it is the only way the Lions lose this game is they literally come out and they're sleepwalking. And there ain't no way in hell that's going to happen. First and foremost, these Lions players realize you have to take every single game, every single opponent serious. And that comes from Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell sure as hell ain't going to take this team lightly. No chance in hell. So again, I'm presenting the data, I'm presenting the facts, I'm presenting the stats, and I'm presenting the logic. Could this be a trap game? Yes, it could. But is it likely? Highly unlikely. But anyway, folks, I'm going to end this episode. I think I've presented the evidence as best as I can. And having said that, I want to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you not had a chance to do so, again, I want to highly encourage y'all to subscribe, but please make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also want to encourage y'all to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can. Because the more we do that, the greater the channel can grow and spread, and we bring in new viewership. And finally, I just want to say, whether you've been a long-time viewer or a short-time viewer, being this your first time watching me, I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you got something out of it. I also hope you guys have got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.